Hi everyone, welcome to Sydney, Australia. I am here for Indo Pacific 2023. The show starts tomorrow, but right now I'm right next to Fleet Base East. There's several ships. It's the busiest I've ever seen that base. There's like 8 ships today with more in the background which we can't really see. So I'm going to be focusing on the ones behind me. So first is the flagship of the Royal Australian Navy, HMAS Canberra, the big LHD. Behind it is a Hobart-class Air Defence Destroyer, HMAS Sydney. In front of it is the new seabed warfare ship of the Royal Australian Navy, Guidance. Next to it is the OPV of the Royal Navy, HMAS Tamara. In front of it is a dry dock. Inside is a USV from the US Navy, Sea Hunter, doing some kind of refit. There are 4 USVs from the US Navy in Sydney right now because they took part in an exercise Autonomous Warrior with the Royal Australian Navy. In front of the USV is HMAS Adelaide, the sister ship of the Canberra LHD. And in front of it, with pennant number 151, is an ANZAC-class frigate, HMAS Arunta. Last but not least, behind Arunta is Independence type LCS, Littoral Combat Ship of the US Navy, USS Oakland, who was here with the USV, acting as the float command ship for the USVs. I am now joined by Ben Felton, our Canberra-based correspondent. Ben, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm great, and it's really great to get to feature you for the very first time in one of our video. So I wanted to discuss with you a little bit further the vessel with the blue hull behind us, Guidance. It's one of the latest additions to the Royal Australian Navy fleet. What can you share with us regarding this vessel?
Yes, earlier this year, Defence bought this vessel off the commercial market. It's not been commissioned into the Royal Australian Navy. It's operating as Australian Defence Vessel Guidance, and it's being operated by a company in Australia called TK Shipping, who also maintain some other auxiliary ships for the RAN. It's going to be used as an undersea support vessel. Now, we don't actually really know exactly what that means, but the general consensus is it's going to make use of drones, support AUKUS development work, and things like that, as the Australian Navy focuses in on undersea support and undersea warfare.
Behind us as well, so there are 2 non-Australian vessels. There's a UK Royal Navy OPV, there's the US Navy USV. They are both doing maintenance here in Sydney.
Earlier this year, both HMAS Tamara and its sister ship HMAS Spey did a set of maintenance in Cairns, Australia. And they've both been using Australia as a sort of support hub for their long-term deployment to Indo Pacific. And then in this floating dry dock here, you can't really see it, but there's the USV from the US called Sea Hunter, which is on a big deployment with 3 other USVs, which we'll be talking about a little bit later, which is in here for some routine maintenance because they came into problems during their deployment.
Last but not least, Ben, so you've been writing about it in Naval News previously in the recent past. The future of the Royal Australian Navy surface fleet could be changing in the near future. Maybe we are going to find out more this week at the trade show, but what can you share with us regarding this topic?
So I think a big theme of Indo-Pacific this year is going to be this Tier 2 combatant. So in the Defence Strategic Review, which came out last year, it recommended that the Navy have a system of Tier 1 and Tier 2 combatants, where Tier 2 combatants are more like the current ANZAC-class frigates in that they're lower capacity, cheaper to build, cheaper to operate. Since then, there's been another review into the Navy's surface fleet, which reported to government in September, but that's been kept classified, and we're expecting an official government response later next year. But there's a lot of speculation within industry and media circles that the Navy is now seeking a Tier 2 combatant. And in Indo-Pacific, we know, for example, there are quite a few companies which are showcasing their designs and concepts to fulfill that requirement. The challenge there is what happens with the Hunter-class program. There's some speculation it could be cut back from 9 ships to 6 or even 3, but we really just don't know at this point.
Very well, Ben. Well, thank you very much.
No worries.
And stay tuned for our coverage of Indo Pacific 2023 this week.